What's going on, everyone? I just got the Mars 400S unit in from Hollyland Tech. Now, full disclosure, they did send me this unit free of charge in exchange for this video review, but everything that I say in this video is of my own opinion, and it's my own feedback and my own experience and all that good stuff. And a little more on why I do product reviews and why I agree to do certain product reviews is because I could definitely see myself using the products that I review, or I just use them in general. And then also the other thing is I want to make a product review if it's something that I could genuinely recommend to my audience. And this Mars 400S is definitely no exception there. And we'll go into where I think it's great for use and where I think there are definitely limitations and all that kind of stuff. Before we get into that, let's just go ahead and talk about what's in the box. So the first thing you get is the transmitter and receiver units. And then with those, you get 5 antennas, which is awesome. So 2 antennas per unit for the receiver and the transmitter, and then you get an extra one in case you break it. So that's really awesome there. You also get a USB Type-C to USB adapter so that you can use that for uploading firmware and stuff like that. You also get a cold shoe adapter as well as a cold shoe relocation bracket, and then a 1/4-20 screw for that as well, so that you can orient the Mars 400, either the receiver, the transmitter, any which way you want. And then lastly, you get the locking AC adapter, so you can run it off AC power if you got your camera locked off and you're not moving it and you just don't want to drain batteries. You can do it that way too. Moving on to the build quality, and this is actually really impressive for me. I had never used one of these units before. When I opened it up, I was surprised that it was a really nice metal construction. I think it must be like some kind of aluminum or something like that, because they're not really that heavy for what they are. So yeah, really high quality, feels robust in the hands, all that good stuff. So moving on to the physical features of the unit. On one side, you have the power switch, the on-off switch, you have and then below that is the locking DC connector. On the top, you have the 2 antenna ports, and then on the side, you have the HDMI and SDI port. Now, there is another unit called the Mars 400 that is exactly the same. It just doesn't have the SDI port on it, but this one has an SDI, which I really like because I have the Canon C200, which I'm filming on right now, and it obviously has SDI, and those are typically more of a professional connection than HDMI. And then on the front, you have a nice screen that displays all the information, and then below that, 3 buttons, and that's really to navigate the menus and select different settings, and then change the different transmission channels for the different units. So in addition to being able to use HDMI and SDI on this, the other really cool thing about this is you can actually connect to this with your phone over Wi-Fi or your iPad. And it's pretty cool. It's got a little QR code back on the back of the transmitter, and you just download the app. When you open the app, all you have to do is click connect, and it pulls up your camera and it reads the QR code, and then it hooks up via Wi-Fi. So if you have other clients, you don't have enough monitors, and you got an iPad with you or whatever the case may be, you can definitely hook up that. And then it's really cool because the signal actually sends video and audio. So that's really cool there. So if you're in a video village and somebody else wants to monitor it, they can put in headphones and listen to the audio as well. So pretty neat there. And then you can also do other things like take pictures and mark, draw on it and stuff like that. But I haven't really used that feature, to be honest. But it sounds cool, but it's just not something that I personally would use. But it's really cool to have on there, especially if a client sees something and they want to, take a picture of it real quick, draw it on there, run it over to the director and tell them that, hey, I want you to move this thing out of the frame, or whatever the case may be. But for the projects that I've been using this on lately, I haven't really found a need for that personally. So moving on to projects that I have been using this on, I actually just recently I was filming a lecture, kind of a keynote, a little conference. And what I use this for, and this is kind of the first thing that came to mind when using this, I put it on my Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and I had it tucked away in a corner and as a B cam set up to my Canon C200, which was my A cam. And I actually transmitted the signal, put the transmitter on the pocket camera, and then had a monitor kind of hanging off of my Canon C200 so that I could monitor both cameras while at the same location without having to walk back and forth and be less of a distraction. So it was really cool to be able to monitor the pocket camera from a distance right next to my Canon C200, just to make sure that the audio was still good and the camera was still rolling and all that good stuff for you know, when you're running one-man band and you're running multiple cameras, if you can monitor everything as much as you can in one location, it definitely is really nice to have. So moving on, the signal strength of this is actually really good. It says it can go up to 400 feet. I haven't tested that out, but there are other videos out there that test that out already, so I really didn't find a need to do that again. But what I did is I just kind of walked through my house and all that kind of stuff, and it never dropped the signal, and I was really surprised. And I had it all the way upstairs and went all the way downstairs outside and didn't lose signal. So it was pretty awesome just to know that it works that good. So yeah, the signal strength is definitely not an issue. It really clear signal all the way through. The Wi-Fi signal does seem to drop out a little bit quicker when you're doing it on your phone. So that's something to keep note of. And it does kind of get a little blotchy and drop frames and stuff like that, I feel like. But when you're actually just using the units, which is what I'm primarily going to do, the signal strength is really good. So that kind of wraps up the kind of positive things I have to say about this unit. And there's really only one negative thing, and that has to do with the latency. Now, the latency isn't awful. However, it's definitely not up there with the Teradek units and stuff like that. So where I don't see this unit really being used is like a first AC wirelessly pulling focus. I don't see this really working out all that well there, just because, especially with any kind of fast camera movements or anything, that little bit of latency when pulling focus can definitely be an issue. But where I really do see this unit really shining, and I think the price point of this justifies it as well, is a really good wireless unit for a video village or a director's monitor. Or what I was using it for back at this conference is just monitoring another camera without really having to worry about the latency issue. Now, the latency, again, it's not horrible, but I wouldn't use it for critical focus pulling or anything like that. And another great example is like if you're doing an interview, for example, and you're running two cameras, and you know, one of the cameras, the B camera, is kind of behind you or something, or at a different angle. This would be a great way to just kind of sit this next to you while you're conducting the interview, to be able to monitor both cameras. And if you have, like on the Blackmagic Pocket camera, you can use an app to kind of you can pull focus and stuff with the app. So it's really cool there to be able to do that. So those are just kind of a couple use cases where I find this product to be really beneficial, and it will really shine. Another example is doing overhead shots. So say you got your camera rigged up, doing a top-down shot, and the camera might be out of reach, or you've got a camera like the Pocket camera that doesn't have an articulating screen. Instead of having to run cables and all that kind of stuff down, you can have this little transmitter hooked up to the Pocket camera and send the signal wirelessly and be able to monitor a top-down shot, an overhead shot, or whatever the case may be, and just make sure everything, the framing looks good, and you know, the signal is all good, and that it's still recording and all that good stuff. So tons of uses for wireless video transmission. Those are just a couple. Again, really the one thing that I would not use this for is for pulling focus. And again, I think the price point justifies the latency in comparison to, say, a Teradek unit, which can be a couple $1,000s. So you have to take that into consideration. And again, I think it's, you know, when you get products, you get specific tools for specific jobs. In this instance, I think that this product definitely has a really good use for monitoring, but not necessarily pulling focus. The last little observation I have about this that could potentially be an issue is the fan noise that's coming from the unit. It's definitely audible, but with any kind of shotgun mic, it probably won't pick it up. Now, I've been running this on the entire time. Now, both the transmitter and the receiver both have fan noise on them, but I'm gonna turn this off real quick, and you'll be able to hear the difference right here. Turn it back on. Turn it back off. Now I'm sitting here in my kitchen, and I got the fridge behind me, so that probably doesn't help out with the audio either. But anyways, that's something I wanted to make note of, that this unit definitely has an audible fan noise. Similar to, like, you know, the Aperture 120D, definitely the fans kick on. It's not super loud, but it's definitely noticeable. And if you're doing any kind of sound critical work, definitely that's something to consider. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say about this unit. Overall, I really like it. I would recommend it if you're looking for a wireless transmission system. Again, I wouldn't recommend this for ACs for like pull and focus wirelessly and all that kind of stuff, but as a director's monitor or as a video village or a client monitor or multiple monitors when you hook it up to Wi-Fi and to phones and stuff like that, I find this to be a really awesome solution, and I plan on using this on a ton of projects coming up. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this informative. If you did, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Maybe consider hitting that subscribe button down below. And yeah, let me know down in the comments if you have one or not, if you use it, if you're into wireless, if you're not, all that good stuff. If you don't have one, you don't really care about all the stuff, and you're still here and want to leave a comment, you can either say hi or you can answer this question. So as we're moving into the winter months, at least those of us north of the equator, let me know down in the comments what your favorite winter or fall meal is. Anyways, guys, thanks again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.